Hey, I'm Chelsea of Friday Pattern Company, and today we're going to be doing a pattern hack of the Saguaro set pants. So I had this idea, I've been wanting some hiking pants, or like hiking friendly pants, and was thinking about how I could make a pair. And I'm going to try to modify the Saguaro set pants to be able to convert to shorts, and instead of doing zippers, I'm going to do snaps because I have a snap set I really love. Makes it really easy, and I think that could be cool. I'm going to do a few pattern modifications to the pants to get them how I want them. So I'm going to be lowering the rise, I'm going to be narrowing the leg a little bit, and I'm also going to be obviously adding the placket and like flap to do that overlap, and I'll show you all of that. I'm not sure how they're going to turn out at this point. I think if you're seeing this video, that means they turned out cute enough to share. I'm going to be using this really cool linen. It has like a crinkled texture, but it's, I would say this is maybe like 6 ounces. It's not very heavy, so it will require some interfacing around the where the pants are joined to like do that convert short to pant thing. Linen isn't necessarily like a conventional hiking material. I know that a lot of people wear synthetics, but I just want a pair that are linen, and I'm going to see how this goes, and if I really like the way that they fit, maybe I'll order some like performance wear. So I hope that these turn out cool. Yeah, and I guess we'll find out together. Our first pattern adjustment will be to lower the rise on the Saguaro pants. To lower a rise on a pant that has a slash pocket like the Saguaro pants do, you need to draw a line. So I'm drawing a line square out from about 1 inch below the pocket opening, and then I'm squaring a line up a couple inches, and then I'm cutting that across to the center front seam. And then we'll cut along this line to separate an upper and lower piece. Then you can move that upper piece down however much you want to lower the rise on your pants. So I'm lowering them 2 inches here. And the reason you do this kind of crooked line is so that you're not affecting the proportions of that diagonal pocket, because you don't want to shorten your pocket by 2 inches when you shorten your rise. Then you can tape that in place and then repeat those steps on the back piece as well. Now I want to narrow the legs a little bit, and I'm speaking from the future now. If I were to do this again, I would narrow them more. So I'm just on the hem of the pant, marking in 1 inch on either side. I think I could have probably done like 1.5 inches or 2 inches on either side. After you have those marked, you can draw a diagonal line that kind of meets this new markup with the side seam and also the inseam. And then you can trim away the sides, or you can just kind of fold them under if you don't want to mess up your pattern piece, and then you'll repeat that on the back. Now we're going to split the front and back pieces into an upper and lower leg. So I'm going to have my shorts have a 3-inch inseam, so I'm just marking that here. Then you're going to draw a line squared off from this point going across your leg, and then you can cut that piece away. Now we're building our snap placket, so I'm just taping a piece of paper in place underneath our pattern piece. The placket is going to have a flap that overlaps the snaps so that you can't see them. So that is 1.5 inches long, and I'm just measuring and drawing 1.5 inch line. And then I'll draw another 1.5 inch line, and that is going to be folded under. And then the snap placket is going to be shorter, so it'll be 1 inch so that it's hidden beneath the flap. So I'm drawing I'm drawing a line 1 inch below, and then another line 1 inch below that. And then finally, I'm adding a seam allowance. And I know that that's a lot of words, but just follow the measurements and you'll be fine. And here we have all of those lines in place, and we are going to cut away the bottom part of this excess paper, and then I'm going to fold it up the way that it'll be sewn so that we can true it for how it's going to be folded. It'll need to kind of accordion style, like go in and out because the side and inseams aren't like perfectly straight. So you'll see what I'm talking about. First, I folded that 3/8 for the seam allowance, and now this is folding in half the placket that the snaps are going to be on. And now I'm going to fold this upper part that will be the overhang on the snap placket. And you can see how there's this little flap that hides another little flap underneath. And we're going to cut this at an angle so that it fits above the lower leg that we're putting in. We don't want it to be like perfectly straight, otherwise that excess fabric would be. And you can see that when I cut it and then unfold it, how these aren't perfectly straight lines. They kind of go in and out, and that's what we want to make sure that this seam sits right. And here's the lower leg. I've already drawn the lines in place, but it's a similar concept, but this time we don't have an extra flap to hide the snaps because they'll be hidden. So I drew a line an inch above that, 1 more inch above that, and then added the 3/8 inch seam allowance. And now I'm going to fold it up and trim it down the same way I did with the upper. These steps need to be repeated on the front and the back. And then I also am labeling my lower front and my lower back legs just so they don't get mixed up. Next, we're going to pre-press our hems, so I'm just going to add notches at each of these lines. We want to interface the snap placket, so this little chunk of the 1 inch between those 1 inch lines, we're going to add interfacing to the wrong side of our pattern piece. So you'll fuse that to the wrong side of your pattern piece. It's just going to be 3/8 inch up from the bottom of your fabric, and now we're going to pre-press the hem. So we'll fold the 3/8 inch seam allowance under. Then you're going to fold up another 1 inch, and you have those little notches that you trimmed before, and you're kind of meeting the top of the interfacing here. Next, we're going to press that placket that hides the snaps in place, so you can flip your pattern piece over so that the right side is facing up. And then you'll fold your folded hem edge up 1 inch. Again, you can use the notch as a reference here. And then you can flip your piece back over so that the wrong side is facing up. And now we are going to press it under at that last notch, and we're pressing under 1.5 inches this time. So you can fold at the notch and then give it a good press. And then this is what we're left with. So you can see that you've got your seam allowance pressed under, and then you have your little interfaced placket that the snaps are gonna be on, and then you have the little placket that hangs down a little lower that is going to hide the snaps. Okay, so what I have so far is that I have assembled the pockets according to the instructions. I still have my pre-pressed hems. I assembled these pockets, and then instead of joining them first at center front, I joined the side seams because I want to add a pocket right here. I'm using one of the pockets from the Ilford jacket, and these pockets are available as a download separate, so you don't have to buy the Ilford jacket to get the pockets. And they're pretty cute pockets, if I do say so myself. So I have here, this one has a pencil pocket on it as well. This is the upper rectangle pocket, and I'm just gonna place that on here, and it's gonna kind of straddle the side seam. Okay, so here I have the pocket pinned in place. It's kind of hard to see anything on this, but here is the pocket that's normally in the Saguaro pants, and then I've pinned the pocket, and it already has its little pencil pocket sewn onto it. And the way that it sits is that once it's gonna sit right, the bottom of the pocket is gonna be right at the ridge where, this is where there'll be snaps under here that join the top to the bottom. So that's just gonna sit really nicely right there. And so you've got your this pocket underneath, and so as I sew, I'm gonna pull that out of the way. I'll probably pin it out of the way to sew down just to avoid it. Okay, so here's that pocket sewn on, and it's so hard to see on this fabric, but yeah, so then when this ridge gets sewn in, it'll just sit right at the bottom. Another thing that I added was, I added it on the left side because I'm left-handed. added this little loop at the just next to the pocket opening on the front, because I feel like when you're hiking there's always like things you want to hook on to yourself, so that's there. Okay, so now I have my front joined to my back, so essentially just following the regular Saguaro set instructions, except for that I have my hem pinned in place now. So what's going to happen, I'll show you from the front. So this is the right side of the fabric, and then what we're going to do on the wrong side of the fabric, hang on, I'm showing you this from above. Okay, so we're looking at the shorts hem of on the wrong side of the fabric, so you can see the seam finishes there. This is our pre-pressed hem that I pinned in place. So you've got the seam allowance pressed under, and then this is the snap placket. So these are the 1-inch folds, and then these are the 1.5-inch folds. So we're going to edge stitch along this fold. So we're sewing through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of fabric, and we'll edge stitch all the way around. This is going to create essentially two little hem folds. Okay, here is the hem sewn, and yeah, as you can see, I just like edge stitched that in place. And then, so when you're looking at the shorts, this flap will hide the snap flap. The snaps are going to go on here to join the shorts to the pants. And they're looking pretty cute. So next up, we'll work on the bottom half. Oh, one other thing. I goofed, and the hem did cut off the bottom part of my pocket, but it's not a big deal. It's still, I could put some trail mix in there, you know? And if you want to like hide a secret message, you could stick it inside of here, and then it'll just be sewn up for no one to ever see. It's a new day. We're still working on these paints. I'm working on the lower legs now, and I was just doing kind of a similar thing that I did with the front, where I interfaced the part that's going to be the placket, so it's 2 inches, and then so it's measuring down 3 inches or 3/8 of an inch, and then interfacing 2 inches. So that's this is the seam allowance that's gonna fold down, and then this is gonna fold like this, and then the snaps are gonna go on here. And the one thing that I did add in here is that I found it kind of hard to see on the pattern pieces what was the inseam and the outseam. You can't really see that. But I just put a little eye on the wrong side of the pattern pieces on the inseam, so that when I'm sewing them together, I can keep track of that. So now I'm gonna pre-press all of the tops of the front and back lower legs, and then I will go from there. Okay, so I have the lower leg assembled. I sewed the front lower leg to the back lower leg, and then I finished the seam and pressed it towards the back. And then I've repressed my pre-pressed snap placket in place. So now I'm just gonna edge stitch around and then repeat that with both legs. Okay, so here is the lower leg with the top edge stitched in place. So now it can just be, I'm gonna add the snaps, the base of the snaps to this, and then the top of the snaps to this. I pinned one leg in already to see how far apart I could put the snaps without it like kind of sagging in the middle, and I'm thinking like 3 or 3.5 inches maybe. I just kind of like added pins around to see and tried it on, and they're cute. Okay, so now we are ready to add snaps to join our upper leg to our lower leg, and I went through and marked the snap placement so that they'll match up between the upper and lower leg, but you can't see them. I'm sorry about that, but they're 3.5 inches apart. And so now I'm just setting up my snap tool, and I'll link this one down below. I like it. It has pretty clear instructions that you can follow to set the snaps, but I think a couple tips is just to make sure that you are putting the right components on the right side. So like the lower snap has like a flat bottom, and then the upper snap has like the enamel front that is nice to see, but we're hiding it under our placket. So yeah, I'm just going through and adding those snaps in, and then the pants are basically done. I mean, you just do the waistband and the hem following the instructions in the pattern, and then you're ready to go. Here are the finished pants that I wore on a hike when I went to visit my brother in Durango, Colorado, and this was a really lovely hike and the pants were great. I loved being able to snap the bottom off them and I really like them as shorts. I was wearing the shorts just like around town because I think they're cute enough. And I think that I could definitely see more of these in my future. And I hope that if you try them, that you love them, but let us know what you think. And yeah, happy sewing!